So here's what happened. This couple had gotten completely tired of hiding their relationship. Every time they wanted to spend time together, they had to come up with excuses, avoid questions, and make sure nobody got suspicious. Eventually, one of them came up with what sounded like the perfect solution: a private weekend getaway. No interruptions, no responsibilities, and no awkward explanations. Just 2 days together to finally relax and enjoy each other's company. The plan sounded amazing. They both came up with fake work-related reasons for leaving town and booked a hotel by the coast. Everything seemed perfect. After all the sneaking around, this was supposed to be the weekend where they could finally enjoy some peace. When they arrived at the hotel, the excitement was obvious. The room looks nice, there were chocolates waiting on the pillows, and for a moment it felt like the perfect romantic escape. Unfortunately, that feeling didn't last very long. Within minutes, one of them noticed something that immediately raised concerns. A glass appeared to have been used before. There were signs that the room might not have been cleaned properly. Suddenly, instead of relaxing, all the attention shifted toward hotel hygiene. The concern quickly turned into a demand for a different room. The hotel staff apologized and moved them to another room. Problem solved? Not even close. The second room introduced an entirely different issue. While one person was busy checking every detail of the room, the other had become completely distracted by an intense police chase playing on television. The chase had become surprisingly entertaining, and now they were more invested in the TV program than the actual vacation. Then another problem appeared. The room didn't have the view they originally paid for. Back to the front desk they went. At this point, hotel employees were probably questioning every decision that led them to this career path. Luggage was being moved from room to room, keys were constantly being replaced, and nobody seemed capable of staying satisfied for more than a few minutes. One member of the couple was determined not to get ripped off. If they paid for an ocean view, they wanted an ocean view. The other person couldn't understand why they were spending an entire romantic weekend arguing with hotel management instead of actually enjoying themselves. The frustration kept building. Every new room created another complaint. Every complaint created another argument. And somehow, the perfect weekend was slowly turning into a complete disaster. Eventually, they settled into yet another room. At least for a moment, it looked like the room-switching marathon was finally over. But then, a new problem appeared: the television. One person wanted to continue watching the exciting chase they'd been following all afternoon. The other couldn't believe that after all the effort, money, and planning, they were spending the weekend staring at a screen. The conversation quickly became heated. One side felt ignored, the other side felt controlled. Neither person thought they were being unreasonable. Unfortunately, both of them thought the other person was. The argument escalated fast. What started as a disagreement about television suddenly became a debate about personality, priorities, and everything else that had been bothering them. The room changes, the complaints, the stress, and the disappointment all exploded at once. The romantic atmosphere disappeared completely. By the end of the night, both of them were frustrated, annoyed, and wondering how a trip that started with so much excitement had gone so wrong. Eventually, the weekend ended, and they returned home. Naturally, their friends wanted to know how everything went. One of them described the trip as an absolute disaster. According to their version of events, they spent the entire weekend arguing and dealing with problems. The other wasn't exactly enthusiastic either. Their description wasn't much better. It became clear that neither person had experienced the magical getaway they originally imagined. Then things got even funnier. As everyone started comparing stories, the details of the weekend became more ridiculous. The room changes, the arguments, the wasted money, the endless complaints. Looking back, it was almost impossible not to laugh. Eventually, the conversation shifted toward the hotel bill. One person offered to pay their share. When the total cost was revealed, everyone was shocked. How could a simple weekend have become so expensive? That's when somebody jokingly pointed out that after switching rooms so many times, it felt like they had rented half the hotel. The conversation somehow became even more ridiculous from there. Old accusations started resurfacing. Missing money was mentioned, suspicious spending habits were questioned, and before long, a completely unrelated argument had started. In the end, the weekend may have been a failure as a vacation, but it became an unforgettable story. Instead of returning with romantic memories, they returned with a collection of hilarious disasters, pointless arguments, and enough awkward moments to entertain their friends for years. And honestly, sometimes those are the trips people remember the most.